The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We're not here to play political games. We're here to demand an end to this corrupt process.
Yeah, absolutely.
We ask them to stop hiding things from the public. We ask them to stop doing things behind closed doors. We ask them to stop attacking Texas communities. They refuse because their loyalty and fealty to Donald Trump overrides all other interests.
Right-o. Welcome, my friends, to the Monday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. A special shout-out to those of you listening on WBRP, our newest affiliate in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Hi there, and welcome, one and all. It is Monday. It is a day that is, well, tumultuous if you are Democrats, especially if you are Democrats from Tejas. The move is, of course, as you have been hearing for many weeks, that Texas Republicans would engage in a process of redistricting, drawing lines that more accurately reflect the population in elections. And Democrats are having a proverbial cow. Their panties are pinched in some cases. They're not happy people. Democrats in the state of Texas boarded jet planes, took the highways however they could get out of Texas to avoid showing up to work. The Texas legislature, the state legislature, is supposed to be convening right now. At 3 p.m. Central Time, they were supposed to go into session. Democrats, and by the way, just in case people don't know, Republicans have used this tactic as well. I think it was in Oregon. There was a big kerfuffle going there, and Republicans bailed out, said, okay, we're out of here. They got fined. Some of them lost the ability to run in the next election because the rules in that state, if you bailed out specifically to create a situation where the legislature couldn't conduct business, you were ineligible to run in the following election cycle. And some of them took that bitter medicine. Texas Democrats, you heard one of them in the opening moments of the program today, State Representative Gene Wu, who is a Democrat in Texas. Of course, they have it that it's all Trump's fault and et cetera, et cetera. Now, that begs a question. The fineries of politics, the intricacies of politics, the weeds of political education. So let me get in the weeds for a moment. And Carlos, don't think I'm picking on you. Please don't. I just want to ask you a little ebonic a question. Carlos, let me ask you, how often does the Constitution require states to redraw their districts? Don't be looking at it on... Wait, hold on a second. TJ, do not start looking on AI for the answer.
I'm not.
Good, because you're next. Don't look at AI.
I'm not.
2 years?
Okay, you're saying 2 years.
I'm guessing, actually. I have no idea.
You're guessing. No idea. All right, TJ, same question. What does the Constitution say? How often are states supposed to do redistricting?
Does it? In the first place?
You look somewhere.
I didn't.
He looks somewhere. He looks somewhere. He looks somewhere. He says to me, does it? Does the Constitution say that? No, the Constitution does not say it.
It's a state thing.
It's a state thing. Okay? Yeah, we know that, but which is why I asked the question. How often are the states supposed to do redistricting?
Whenever they want.
Pretty much so, whenever they want. Ladies and gentlemen, although it is the tradition in this country that after the 10-year census, states redraw their lines, there is absolutely nothing, zippity-doo-dah, nothing in the Constitution which prohibits states from redistricting more frequently than these 10-year cycles. There is absolutely nothing that says Texas should have to wait until after the census to do redistrict lines. Some state laws, like Illinois and Maryland, which is so ironic because you have Governor Pritzker out there making a big show of how he's protecting these delinquent state representatives from Texas. Many of them flew up to Illinois to be under Pritzker's embrace. Pritzker keeps making a big deal, and Illinois is one of the most gerrymandered states in this country. Illinois has a congressional delegation in the House of Representatives of 17 members. How many do you suppose are Republicans? How many do you think are Republicans? 3. Out of the 17 members, Republicans in that state get 3 representatives. Maryland, they point to Maryland, which also has, do you know how many Republicans? Maryland has 8 representatives sent to the House of Representatives. Take a wild guess, Carlos. How many of those 8 are Republicans?
1.
Exactly right. 1. Massachusetts has 9 representatives from the state of Massachusetts sent to the House of Representatives. How many do you suppose are Republicans?
0.
You're looking somewhere, but you've done well. You're not.
I'm not.
Absolutely 0. You're right again.
I just thought
Carlos.
that because Massachusetts is so left, or with the mayor and everything we hear all the time, why would they have any?
0. Now, the interesting thing about Massachusetts, folks, and I hope we're not getting too in the weeds here, but the interesting thing to me about Massachusetts is you can't even find a percentage of Democrats that of Republicans that vote in this state. Maryland, you look for percentages. Okay, what percentages? And it's hard to find that information. I know, I've been looking. Kathy Hochul is out. We have Kathy Hochul. New York has 26 seats in Congress, 26 of them. 26. How many do you suppose Republicans do better than 5? They have 8. Democrats have 18. Okay? New York makes sure that their Democrats are totally in control. Now you go to California. California, and Gavin Newsom is among those making a lot of noise. Historically, the proportion of registered Republicans in California is around 34%. I've even heard up to 40%, depending on the election. Yet, California Republicans, 52. California has 52 Congress people, 52 people in the House of Representatives. How many do you suppose of those? And keep in mind, 36 to 40, somewhere in there, historically, between 36 and 40% of the state are Republicans.
Like 11?
Of the 52 seats, how many do you think
11,
belong
11.
to? Nope, not even. 9. And Gavin Newsom is promising that if this thing in Texas goes, he's going to disband what the voters, he's going to stick his middle finger up to the voters. That's commonly what Democrats do. And he's going to get rid of this commission that's supposedly nonpartisan. And they're just going to start doing a payback line so that they can strip Republican voters of in that state of even more seats, so that they can make sure that they punish Republican voters in the state of California. All because they're upset over Texas. Kathy Hochul, as I said, outrunning her mouth. Democrats, the reason that the reason that the United States House of Representatives is almost so evenly split is because Democrats have been gerrymandering Republicans out of power for years in their blue states, for decades. And now Texas wants to redraw their lines. Yeah, Donald Trump suggested it, and it's a good idea. It should happen based on the population. And Democrats are having a cow. We are going to take a break early so that we're not crammed up in the second segment here, because there's some sound bites I would love for you to hear. So stay right there, my friends. James Golden, Snerdley, don't go away. Keep it right here.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media, my friends. All right. There are a few politicians who have become more renowned for their classlessness, for having very little class, than Texas Representative Crockett. She did a little rant on the redistricting. She's been talking about it for the last month now. But this one, well, you'll hear it. Cut one, Carlos. Her attack on President Trump included in this rant.
Because the Supreme Court has paved the way for half the stuff that we see that's going on. Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of shit. Okay, we know that. Yes, he is. But in a functioning democracy, he still would not be able to get away with this. But he's been able to get away with this because the House Republicans are complicit. He's been able to get away with this because Senate Republicans are complicit. But most importantly, the courts, especially the Supreme Court, is complicit. And so I think one of the places that we have to start is we are absolutely, they are the highest court in the land, and they have no ethics guardrails. Now you go down to the lower courts and they do. How much sense does that make? When we know that they're taking money, we have the paper trail, and they refuse to put guardrails on themselves, so it's time for us to do it for them.
Yeah, okay, well, go ahead, Jasmine. You go ahead and do it for him. You go ahead and you call the President of the United States a POS. You can go ahead with all this ghetto trash talk all the time, slandering the Supreme Court justices. Unless Democrats win, unless they get what they want, nothing is working. Nothing is functional. Actually, things are functioning. The problem is they are functioning in ways that Democrats don't want them to function. And so what you get are these ghetto outbursts. What you get are these sort of just derelictions of duties, which is what the Texas legislators are doing as they camp out. And they need to be held accountable and not let off the hook when the fines come or the potential felonies. Don't go away. Coming right back.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
My friends, especially those of you that are new to our program here, this is the after you hear that, popularly known as Bo Snerdley, very often you will hear something come after that, voices. We search, we scour social media, we scour the internet, we scour in search of trolls, in search of liberal Karen Tuckers. And we find Karen Tuckers all over the place. We also have male Karen Tuckers occasionally. Once in a while, we'll find something truly profound. We'll play that for you, too. But just an alert, this is the segment where you usually hear a Karen Tucker. You'll hear some liberal voice, and we have one for you right now.
Sound the alarm. Trump just brought back the presidential fitness test.
Oh,
yes,
no.
the one that
no.
traumatized an entire generation of kids for years. Because nothing says child health policy like a millionaire golfer who hits balls into the sun. Trump signed an executive order reviving the old school one-size-fits-all test that includes push-ups, pull-ups, shuttle runs, and the infamous smile. It was scraped over a decade ago for being outdated, discriminatory, and humiliating for a lot of students.
Humiliating.
Now it's back. And so is the Reagan-era obsession with performance over wellness. But that's not all. Trump also held a White House photo op with professional athletes to mark the occasion.
How dare you?
This isn't about kids. This is about optics and distraction. And let's be real. If the goal was to promote actual health, we'd be talking about funding for recess, nutrition programs, and mental health, not turning gym class into a boot camp with a MAGA seal of approval. This isn't a health initiative. It's a culture war stunt dressed in gym shorts. I'll be breaking this story down further on my Patreon and Substack.
We don't need any other rest. Thank you, Carlos. That's a Karen Tucker, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it is amazing. Democrats will complain about anything. She says this is some MAGA. You heard the Tucker Karen. I guess when JFK introduced, physical fitness, he had some political agenda. This was all politics. What have we been hearing the past 2 decades about America's children? They are what? What did you say, Carlos? Did you say it loud? They are what?
Fat.
Yes, that's what we've been hearing, although not that terminology. We've been hearing about the obesity crisis. We've been hearing that these kids sit down too much on their tuckuses. They don't get enough exercise. And some of them are too young for sexercise, so they're getting nothing at all. Yes, well, come on, this is the party that promotes sexercise when they get to be young teenagers. That's what they're all about. If they manage to escape having their bodies mutilated. But, so now the Trump administration brings back under Make America Healthy Again. And yeah, they had some great athletes at the White House too, saying we want to be involved, we want to help with this. And what do you get? You get, oh my goodness, the kids get humiliated from exercise. They shouldn't be exercising. It's too much to ask kids to exercise, to go to gym class. It's a form of humiliation. That is the left in a nutshell. We also play the other one that you were going to play because there's something, this is related to the immigration story that's going on in LA. You still have complaints by the second in LA. People are not out shopping. People are not out conducting business. This just goes to show you, my friends, how much the city of LA grew on the backs of illegality. And it also shows something else. This one, you'll be able to figure that out for yourself.
Just got off my 12-hour shift at one of LA County's easiest hospitals and ERs. And you guys, our waiting room is just empty, like 4 patients max, like every hour. And as much as a healthcare worker enjoys a slow day, it's actually pretty scary. Like, I know that a lot of patients are just scared to seek medical care right now, and it's just really sad, the circumstances that we are in right now. And it just scares me for the results of this after, because a lot of patients are going to hold off to not seek medical care, and they're going to come back 10 times sicker. And I just want to urge anybody who has any family members who are experiencing any serious symptoms to encourage them to seek medical care. Hospitals are supposed to be safe spaces, and we are there to protect our patients and care for them regardless of who they are, and where they come from. So it's just a PSA. Please, please, please educate anybody who is scared to seek medical care to seek it if necessary, and don't wait.
Now, of course, when people are in dire assistance of medical help, no one wants to see them not get that help. Yes, sexercise. I just got a text. Yes, the Democrats promote that with children. Instead, you hear this woman complaining about exercise. Think about what the Democrats across almost every state in this union have introduced as reading material for kindergartners, first graders, second graders, on up. You have graphic pornography being introduced into the schools and I mean, some of it is graphic. And yes, and I've read, and you've heard people go to these town meetings and start to read some of the stuff that's in these books, and the people at these school board meetings are so embarrassed, they tell them to stop reading it. But it's okay for your kids to read it. And all of that is to promote sexual behavior as soon as their little parts are ready. Say, this Democrat Party, this liberal agenda is twisted. But that said, ladies and gentlemen, there were other things going on. I'm responding to. I looked up and I'm seeing a question mark. Why are you saying sexercise? Because that's part of the program. But yet, Democrats, these liberal women, they hate. They're so hateful of Donald Trump with TDS that if he just suggests physical exercise, then that's a problem. Okay, moving on. Kathy Hochul, I've mentioned it twice, 3 or 4 times. Let's just go ahead and run through her cuts. Carlos, cut 8. Kathy Hochul, failed governor of New York State.
While Donald Trump and his co-conspirator, Greg Abbott, erode our democracy and drag us toward authoritarianism. Now,
Start it again. I just love that.
While Donald Trump and his co-conspirator, Greg Abbott, erode our democracy and drag us toward authoritarianism. Now, what Texas and Republican states are doing at the direction of Donald Trump, I say is nothing short of a legal insurrection against our capital. Legal meaning they're using the legal process. Does not mean it's legal, and it must be stopped.
Wait a minute, stop it right there. What Donald Trump they're doing a legal insurrection. I say legal because it's legal, but it's not legal. What is this woman talking about? It is not an insurrection. New York is a state. In fact, I got a lengthy text from Lady Benedict, who was talking about a race that occurred in New York from Nan Hayworth, defeated when she ran for a second term, after New York pulled their redistricting crap to make sure that they can minimize the impact of Republicans in the state. And Democrats were outraged. You might remember in the previous election cycle when Republicans picked up 5 seats out of New York and Democrats had a fit. And they have made it their business to make sure that Republicans do not have power in New York State. So here's this woman complaining on and on about some illegal insurrection. It's not an insurrection. It's called politics. Every state is a sovereign state of the United States, and they have the ability to redraw their districts. Now, Democrats keep saying they're going to have revenge. They better be careful with this stuff. They've already redistricted Republicans out almost as much as you can. In red states, there is a whole lot more wiggle room because Republicans haven't done what Democrats did. So let's go to cut 9 with Kathy Hochul. And here you go.
You know, last decade, we redid redistricting. Hard to say. Do you think, given this situation where we've had these court battles, everything, that in this 2027 amendment that you may put forward, that the Independent Redistricting Commission should be disbanded or changed in some way so that you don't have to go through that again in 32?
Yes. I'm tired of fighting this fight with my hand tied behind my back. With all due respect to the good government groups, politics is a political process. And to think that we're going to do this with a purity test and make sure it's completely fair to everybody involved. The reason we are able to draw the lines because we're Democrats, because the majority of people in this state elected us to be leaders. And when we say that we cannot use that power to its fullest, then we're abdicating the responsibility that we all have.
Stop it right there. So you see, it's okay. This is exactly what I was talking about. Politics is a process. Why Democrats elected us. There are more Democrats in the state. They elected us. And we have to use our political power to the fullest. Well, what the hell do you think is happening in Texas? In Texas, the majority of Texans elected Republicans. But when Republicans use their power, their elected power, this same hypocritical nonsense is what you hear from almost every Democrat. She just said it up front. Look, Democrats elected us. They expect us to use our political power. Go ahead, let it continue.
Republicans take over the legislature, they can have at it. But until then, we're in charge, and we're sick and tired of being pushed around when other states don't have the same aspirations that we always have had. And I hold those dear. But I cannot ignore that the playing field has changed dramatically. And shame on us if we ignore that fact and cling tight to the vestiges of the past. That era is over. Donald Trump eliminated that forever.
Yeah, right. So these other states, they don't have the same aspirations we do. So what does that mean? So unless you think like a Democrat, which I'm saying before, these people cannot tolerate. They cannot tolerate inclusivity. They want conservatives, Republicans, X'd out of any decisions. Democrats run New York with an iron fist, and how dare Texas exercise their power as a Republican-dominated state? It ticks them off. And so what are they going to do? They're going to try to go back within their own state, get rid of this so-called nonpartisan, and I have thoughts about that too, election redistricting thing, and just go full, you know what, to the wall, rhymes with wall, to the wall, and rewrite their district to totally kill out as many Republicans as they can. All the while trying to claim the moral high ground. These people are, now, very quickly, before we go to our, yes, we do have to do, but we have one more. We got to hear from them. cut 15. I've been trying to get this in for weeks. Scott Jennings with Abby Phillips. This happened last month when this issue first came up.
So what does it signify that Republicans ahead of the midterms believe that it's going to be so necessary to get an upper hand that they have to actually redraw an entire state's congressional maps in order to get 5 whole seats out of it?
Well, probably the same thing that it signifies when they did it in Illinois and got a 14-3 delegation for D's. Maryland 7-1, Massachusetts 9-0. We know what happened here in New York, California. Even though they have a commission, we all know what goes on there.
In the mid-cycle specifically, are all of those cases in mid-cycles?
All of these cases are where Democrats use the power they have to give them an advantage.
But just to be clear, because I didn't do the research that you did in the break here, is it that they're changing it after the actual census process where you're supposed to create you're supposed to
it doesn't matter when they change it. They have the authority. They have the authority to change it when they want to. It doesn't make a difference after the midterms, after the cycle. The point is, Democrats did it, and she and every other Democrat want to ignore what Democrats do. James Golden, Snerdley, don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
There was a benefit to shining a light on what it was that they were trying to do in the dark in Texas. So unfortunately, we've seen our numbers fall now that they have these voter restrictions in place. But I do think it's important for us to have the conversation around the...
Yeah, that was Jasmine complaining about restrictions put in place. And we have seen our numbers fall. What does that mean, folks? It means ever since Republicans introduced voter ID, validating you are who you say you are, into elections in Texas, Democrats have seen their numbers drop. Now, why would that be? Why would that be? Oh, yes, my friends. 1901 on this day. Louis Armstrong, singer-bandleader, trumpet player extraordinaire, one of the godfathers of jazz, not just in America, but around the world, was born. 1964, went to number 1 on the charts with a pop song, Hello, Dolly. Of course, this one, 1968, When the Saints Go Marching In, Ain't Misbehaving, We Have All the Time in the World, so many other hits. And worked with so many of the great artists around the world in his career. Well, my friends, we're at the end of the line for today, the Monday broadcast. May God bless and protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. God, of course, look after you. And I thank God for allowing me to do this and having you here with me. So, that said, until tomorrow, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Greg Kelly here for Colonial Metals Group. China's leading the largest anti-American alliance since World War II, one that's already dumped U.S. bonds, grabbed 43 million acres of our farmland, and is plotting to dethrone the dollar. That's why IRA and 401k savers are protecting their savings with gold. Go to freegoldguide.com/Kelly or call 800-655-5186 for your free gold guide on how to protect your wealth with gold 100% tax-free.